Yeah. Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. I'm a headliner.
Yo, what is going on, Headliner Nation? Welcome back to the Fantasy Headliners. Kyle, back from my trip to Arizona, hanging out with Jake, the fellows from Pristine Auction, touring their warehouse and their studio there. Oh, it was awesome. Had a great time. Make sure if you do get anything for Pristine Auction, you sign up with an account using code word Headliners. You're going to get a $10 certificate for your very first purchase. But it was an awesome time out there. And the entire time I was there, the one thing Jake and I talked about, content. What are we doing for the upcoming season? What are we doing for the draft guide? We've got so many things going on right now. It's absolutely insane. So make sure that you do go pre-order your 2022 Fantasy Football Draft Guide at the link down below, thefantasyheadliners.com, because it's going to release right around July 1st. And you're going to want to get that. And we might have some special giveaways coming up for those of you that pre-order. So maybe you should pre-order right now. I would if I were you. But in today's video, it's going to be all about must-have or must-avoid. Now, this is not our typical must-have video where we take a look at specific guys and we dive really deep and tell in detail why this is the reason we want to draft these guys. These guys all have question marks around them. And a lot of times in the comments, we do read them, by the way, I see people asking about these specific players. Why will you draft them? Why won't you draft them? Somebody says, I want them, and then someone replies and says, no way, I'm not touching them with a 10-foot pole. So here's four guys, very polarizing people, who for one reason or another had something last year. Now, three of them injury-wise. One of them, not really injury, but efficiency-wise, had some difficulties last year. So are they must-haves this year? Are they must-avoids? Hit the like button for me because we're going to jump into all of it right now and talk a little bit more about it. And hey, if we hit 700 likes on this video, I'll give away a free draft guide to somebody. So you got to hit the like button and comment down below, hashtag must-have or hashtag must-avoid. And let me know one of the four players that we talk about here today, why you must have them or why you must avoid them. First off is going to be the quarterback position. And we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts a little bit. Now, again, kind of just scratching the surface with these guys here. Okay, we're going to be talking a lot more about these guys as the offseason rolls on. But these are four polarizing aspects, or four polarizing players that have different aspects around them that may lead us to believe we might have some issues. So, first up, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts right now in ADP is all the way up as quarterback 7. And I know why. I mean, we all know why. We all know why, right? He's the quarterback 7 because of his, say it with me, rushing ability. And that's really the only reason. Being drafted over guys like Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Derek Carr, Trey Lance, Kirk Cousins, Justin. Okay, so maybe there are some guys there that you would draft him over. But Dak, Brady, Wilson, Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, that's kind of the cutoff for me. Like, I'm not taking Jalen Hurts over any of those guys because he needs to become a better passer. I mean, that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it for me. Jalen Hurts has to become a better all-around quarterback. I mean, people draft guys like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson for their rushing upside, but they've shown that they are good quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts has not shown that he is a good quarterback yet at the NFL level. He's all right, but he has issues, and he needs to clean some of those issues up. Like his 60.6 completion percentage last season. He's got to clean that up because, that was lower than Tyrod Taylor, who completed 60.7 pass percentage in 6 games. It was lower than Carson Wentz, who lost his job this year. Lower than Jacoby Brissett. Wow. Jacoby Brisket. Even Andy Dalton. Lower than Daniel Jones. Lower than Ben Roethlisberger. Lower than Tyler Huntley and Taylor Heineke. Man, that's tough. And you might be sitting here saying right now, but Kyle, listen, didn't have great receivers around him last year. That was part of the issue. It was part of the issue. Was it? Because his 72.4 adjusted completion percentage, which does take into effect drops from those wide receivers around him, paints an even poorer picture. Because that puts him below guys like Andy Dalton, Ben Roethlisberger, Taylor Heineke, Sam Darnold, Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones, Davis Mills, Tua, Jacoby Brissett, Tyler Huntley, Matt Ryan, just to name a few of them. He's not a good passer right now unless he's done something this offseason to really propel himself up. So if you're wanting to draft him just based off his rushing ability alone, all right, that's fine. But that seems a little unrealistic to me. To draft a quarterback whose main purpose is to throw the football for his running ability only? Why? Yeah, sure, if he has a good game passing the football, he's going to have an outstanding week for you. But you're basically drafting another running back that may or may not add some points for you. And rushing ability isn't something that continues to turn week after week after week after week. When you can get a guy like Tom Brady, who's going to put together consistent weeks as a passer, or Dak Prescott, who's going to put together consistent weeks as a passer, Russell Wilson, who is in a better system now with better weapons around him, Matthew Stafford, who's coming off of a Super Bowl victory, Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in all of football. You're choosing to draft Jalen Hurts at a higher ADP based on rushing ability alone, even though rushing isn't the first thing that he should be doing. He should be a good passer. Jalen Hurts he's on the edge right now. They're going to give him every opportunity this season, but if he doesn't grow as a passer, there could be increased frustrations where they say, all right, no, we're done with Jalen Hurts. He's headed to the bench. We can't do it anymore. He's got to step up. You're going to have some really, really good weeks with Jalen Hurts. I get it. You are also going to have some weeks with Jalen Hurts where you're left frustrated and upset because he missed way too many open wide receivers, where he made a poor read, and where he just didn't capitalize on more than enough. That is going to be an issue, especially in a division that could end up being better than it was last year. It's going to make life tough on Jalen Hurts as a passer. What about the running back position? Cam Akers, ADP right now puts him at the running back 15 off the board. And the main question is, can he get back to being his former self? That explosive running back that we used to see, can he get back to being that guy? I don't know if he can, to be honest with you, because an Achilles injury isn't something that typical running backs come back from and are their former explosive self. Now, those of you out there that are Cam Akers truthers that are watching this video right now are going to be like, Kyle, he got 67 attempts in the playoffs. They obviously were feeding them the football. Yeah, 17 attempts, 24 attempts, 13 attempts, 13 attempts. Yes, he got the football in the playoffs. 100%. Good for him. He only had 172 rushing yards in 4 games. He had a 2.57 yards per attempt. He didn't run for any touchdowns. Receiving-wise, non-existent in the passing game. 2 targets, 3 targets, 1 target, 4 targets. He turned those into 76 total yards. 40 yards, 20 yards, 2 yards, 14 yards. That, to me, isn't an explosive running back. And yes, he was just coming back from an Achilles injury. In a crazy time frame in which they, all of us basically stood around looking at each other saying, oh my gosh, he's really coming back this quickly. But just because he got the volume and just because he had a full offseason doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the guy that is going to be the same explosive running back that he was at one point in time. Yeah, he's had all offseason, but that is a devastating injury for running backs. How many running backs do you know of that had an Achilles injury that came back and were top fantasy producers? Find them and leave them in the comments below. You're not going to have to type a whole lot There isn't many of them. For Cam Akers, right now, people are drafting him before David Montgomery. Okay? I don't understand why. Antonio Gibson. Okay, I get that one. I'd still take Gibson right now, though. Saquon Barkley. If you're wanting to take a shot on a running back, take a shot on a guy that isn't coming out of a devastating injury that we've seen be a top running back before. Ezekiel Elliott. Why is Ezekiel Elliott the running back 19? That's a different show for a different day. J.K. Dobbins is all the way back at running back 20. J.K. Dobbins is in a higher profile rushing offense. He's coming off an injury that's not as devastating as what an Achilles injury is. In fact, how many running backs have we seen come back from ACL tears and be just absolute beasts? Let's be real now. It's a much easier injury to come back from these days. J.K. Dobbins coming back from a better injury. And oh, by the way, J.K. Dobbins is going to be on a team that doesn't have nearly as many offensive weapons around him. Okay? J.K. Dobbins should be going the same place as Cam Akers. Just think about it. Why are you drafting Cam Akers over J.K. Dobbins right now? Why would you do that? That could be coming up in another video. He's going over Josh Jacobs, Elijah Mitchell, Damian Harris. Heck, at this point, Travis Etienne's the running back 25. I'd take a shot at Travis Etienne. Everybody, there are people out there who love Cam Akers, and I get it, and I like Cam Akers. I don't have anything against him. But also keep in mind that he's got a guy on his team by the name of Darrell Henderson. And Darrell Henderson last year was pretty darn good when he had to step in for Cam Akers, right? When Cam Akers went out with his injury, Darrell Henderson was the guy for quite some time. And he showed up and he showed out. He averaged 4.62 yards per carry last season. There was a stretch where the dude, he was inactive in week 3, and then he came back and ran for 89, 82, 78, 45, 90, 55, 31, and 55. In the passing game, 6 targets, 1, 3, 6, 2, 4, 6, 4. He was being utilized all over the place, and he was playing well. He had a rushing touchdown in 4 of his first 5 games of the season, in 5 of his first 6 games of the season. Darrell Henderson is still there. Darrell Henderson got banged up bad at the end of last season. So to think that Cam Akers is just going to be the stud, I don't know about that. I expect Darrell Henderson to still see plenty of touches, which will 100% limit Cam Akers' upside. Big Bobby Tonyan. I'm getting a lot of questions about Big Bobby Tonyan. A lot of them, and I get it. Because the last time we saw Big Bobby Tonyan out on the field, he was balling out. He was a top fantasy producer because he was playing like a madman, right? Well, I think we need to be a little bit careful. Tight end 15, actually, for me, is not a bad area for him. I think that's very, very good. Like you'll see with all these players, really, except for Jalen Hurts. Main question is, not only will he be healthy, but will he be back to being kind of Aaron Rodgers' go-to receiver? Lost Devontae Adams. That's a huge loss. You lost MVS, a guy that was kind of shifting in between number 2, number 3 on the team for some time. You brought in, obviously, Watson to kind of be that up-and-coming star out of the draft. You still have Randall Cobb. You still have Allen Lazard. You've got Aaron Jones, who's a prolific pass catcher out of the backfield. And the last time we saw Robert Tonyan, yeah, he was the tight end 3. The dude was great. The dude was great in 2020. But kind of what I talked about last season, Robert Tonyan last year for me was an avoid. I'm not saying he's an avoid this year, but I'm saying maybe pump the brakes on saying Robert Tonyan is going to lock himself into a top 12 position, because if you remember last time Robert Tonyan was on the field, he scored 11 touchdowns. Now, 3 of those touchdowns did come in one game in week 4. So those touchdowns came in week 4, and then he went 5 weeks after that without scoring again. And then he ripped off 5 straight weeks with a touchdown before scoring 1 in his last 2 games. But the biggest problem is that he was just scoring touchdowns. That was basically it. He was 13th in receiving yards among tight ends in 2020, and 13th in receptions. In 2020, Hunter Henry, Dalton Schultz, Rob Gronkowski, George Kittle, Evan Ingram even, Logan Thomas, Noah Fant, Mark Andrews, Mike Gesicki, TJ Hawkinson, Darren Waller, Travis Kelce all had more receiving yards than what Robert Tonyan did. Mike Gesicki, Eric Ebron, Hayden Hurst, Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, Noah Fant, Dalton Schultz, Evan Ingram, TJ Hawkinson, Logan Thomas, Travis Kelce, Darren Waller all had more receptions than what Big Bobby Tonyan did. So yes, 11 touchdowns was great. You probably picked him up off the fantasy waiver wire, especially if you watched my shows that year, because I did try to get to him a little bit early in that season, and we called him that week before he scored 3 touchdowns. But then after he scored those 3 touchdowns, I was like, hey, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's wait and see what happens. And it took him a little bit, and then he came back and he started scoring again. But he wasn't bringing in volume. Now, the good news is that Davante Adams is gone, so now maybe that volume can go to Robert Tonyan. But there's a lot of you out there that are Christian Watson fans, and you think Watson's going to be huge. And there's a lot of you out there that are Allen Lazard fans, and you think Allen Lazard is going to take on an increased role. There's a lot of you out there that are Aaron Jones fans, and if you look at the numbers when there's no Davante Adams, typically Aaron Jones is the guy that Aaron is looking to the most. So Robert Tonyan absolutely could end up being the number 1 or number 2 target on this team. But, the main thing is, hey, he's going to have to be fully healthy. He's going to have to get back on that field this offseason and really show that, hey, yeah, I'm ready to go 120%. And he's going to need to basically look at Aaron Rodgers and say, you and me again. If that happens, the volume could be there. But I think ADP of tight end 15, I think is perfect for him right now because there are concerns there about whether or not he can put together high volume games. If you're just drafting him hoping he scores a touchdown every game, that could be great. Could be awful. But for me, I just think there's some other opportunities for tight ends out there that could bring in the volume and the touchdowns for you. I'm not saying to avoid Robert Tonyan, but if people get too excited out there and his ADP starts to climb, you're going to have to be very careful with how high it climbs. Michael Thomas. Now, this is a big one. And I saw a lot of comments in my wide receiver rankings video. Why don't you have Michael Thomas in the top 30? Well, great question. Because I, first off, answered it at the end of the video. So if you didn't listen, you didn't hear it. But number 2, why would I put him inside my top 30 right now? Because he used to be a very good player. I haven't seen it recently. Where is it, Michael? Where is it? Last time we heard from you, you barely wanted to play for the New Orleans Saints. Last time we heard from you was basically been on social media complaining about different things. I haven't seen anything from you showing your dedication to football or dedication to the Saints or wanting to be that guy or wanting to work your way back. I haven't seen anything positive from Michael Thomas in quite some time, honestly. So for me, why would I risk it? Because Michael Thomas isn't the dude anymore, ladies and gentlemen. He's not the guy. They have got other guys there that can step up and now become the guy. I mean, yes, in 2019, dude absolutely balled out. 149 receptions, 1,700 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns, 107 yards per game. But then missed all of 2021, didn't play a game in 2021. In 2022, he only played in 7 games. He had 438 receiving yards, and he didn't score a touchdown. When was the last time you saw Michael Thomas score a touchdown, ladies and gentlemen? Again, I get it. I understand why people like Michael Thomas. I don't necessarily hate Michael Thomas. I want you all to be very, very careful with Michael Thomas. Because the last time he scored a touchdown was in week 16 on December 22nd of 2019. That is the last time that Michael Thomas scored a touchdown. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen. That was a long time ago. Okay? I had far less gray hair back then. My hair was still perfect, but far less gray hair back then. Okay? And now, They went out and they drafted a big-time young wide receiver in Chris Olave. Jameis Winston, historically, has worked better with guys going down the field, okay? Not the short slant routes that we've seen from Michael Thomas or things of that nature. Chris Olave is going to be the guy down the field. You've got Jarvis Landry that's going to work out of the slot now. So he's actually going to take up some of those routes and some of that field that Michael Thomas really used to work in. And Jameis Winston was there last year, but what type of a connection does Jameis Winston have right now that's maybe so much better than what it will be with Olave or Landry? None whatsoever. So for Michael Thomas, ADP, his ADP right now is wide receiver 29. So for those that want to complain that I didn't even put him in my top 30 wide receivers, take a look at the people drafting around you, because the people drafting around you barely think he's a wide receiver 30. They've got him as a wide receiver 29. The expert consensus rankings have him as a wide receiver 29. He is a guy that is going as a mid wide receiver 3 right now. That is what people think of Michael Thomas. If you're drafting him to be your wide receiver 1, you're going to need to be careful with that. You're going to need to be careful with that. If you're drafting him to be your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, that's the sweet spot. Is he a must-have for me this season, though? Absolutely not. If his ADP climbs and people are going to start trying to take him in like the 3rd round, I'm not doing it. Not going to do it. I'll figure out something better to do with my time than draft Michael Thomas this year. Because until Michael Thomas shows me that he wants it, I don't want him. But 4 guys that questions have been coming up with consistently lately about, hey, what about this guy? And I just answered some of them for you. But ladies and gentlemen, again, 700 likes on the video. I'm going to give away a draft guide to somebody who leaves a comment down below with hashtag must have or must avoid. And then the one guy from this video that they looked at and they said, can't touch him, or yep, give him to me and give me a good reason why. But I'm going to get out of here right now, ladies and gentlemen. All of you stay safe and stay healthy, and I will catch you on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.
Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. Y'all stuck on 3rd down. Your content's plain Jane. Headliners on top now. We gonna move and change. Podcast off the rip. Draft guide, so legit. Fantasy world, our game tight. You know we about that chub life. Stuck in a rut and you need some motivation. Head to the channel for this Headliner Nation. I'm a headliner.